At the beginning, we see Zulfikar Aga returning from Berlin, where he had been undergoing treatment for an illness known only to his loyal assistant, Wazir. Upon his arrival at the bus station, he witnesses a quarrel between a driver and Timur, a mechanic. Timur had repaired the bus and demanded to be paid in cash, but the driver attempted to give him only a promissory note. Zulfikar intervenes, instructing Wazir to pay Timur directly in cash. Wazir gives him an amount greater than the actual cost, but Timur refuses to take more than what is due, returning the remainder. Before leaving, he notes that Zulfikar's car requires a new cylinder, pointing out the incompetence of the other mechanics. Impressed, Zulfikar begins to admire Timur's character. Later, Zulfikar meets with Mr. Hussein, who tells him that people have begun to question why his daughter Daria cannot manage the family's events business, insisting instead that only a man can do so. Zulfikar responds that his son Zafer will soon take over himself. Meanwhile, Wazir apprehends a man who had stolen money from Zulfikar to pay off debts. We are then introduced to Captain Yahya, Zulfikar's nephew, with whom there is deep hostility. We also meet Zulfikar's children, Kudra, the eldest sister, Jana, the youngest, and Zafer himself. Zafer tells Jana that he and his wife Rihan will attend a wedding together, to which Jana replies that Rihan resembles a priceless antique. Rihan prepares breakfast, where Zafer asks her to wear an elegant dress in the evening to match his suit. Meanwhile, Timur is at a computer shop buying a laptop for his sister Yashim as a birthday gift. The laptop costs 40,000, but he has only 4,000. He promises to return within a week to pay the balance. His closest friend Yusuf is with him. We later see Timur at the police station, where he must sign in daily after his recent release from prison. Despite his struggles, Timur remains devoted to his mother and sister after his father fled, leaving behind massive debts. Timur has been working tirelessly to repay them, though he is still burdened by overdue bank loans, unpaid phone bills, and 3 months of rent. Meanwhile, Zulfikar speaks with his daughter Daria, lying to her about his frequent trips abroad, claiming he travels only to purchase vitamins from outside Turkey. In truth, he is gravely ill. Later, he tells Wazir that if Captain Yahya learns of Zafer's condition, he will show no mercy. The doctor has told Zulfikar he has only 6 months left to live, and he confides to Wazir that he must find another heir to be his crown prince, since Zafer cannot bear the burden. Importantly, almost no one has ever seen Zafer in person, adding to the secrecy. Captain Yahya, at his father's grave, vows revenge on Zulfikar and promises to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his. When Zulfikar returns home, his children warmly welcome him. He dotes on Jana, the youngest, while Rihan tells him she and Zafer will attend her colleague's wedding. During this time, we learn that Kudra, the eldest, is responsible for the household in Zulfikar's absence. Soon after, Timur and Yusuf arrive at Zulfikar's estate to repair an important bus that only Zulfikar uses. While there, Timur notices Rihan speaking on the phone and is struck by her beauty, only to discover that she is Zafer's wife. As Zafer and Rihan prepare to leave, Zafer suddenly suffers shortness of breath, triggering a painful memory from his childhood, when he witnessed his mother's murder during a car attack outside the estate. The trauma has haunted him ever since, leaving him emotionally fragile. That evening, while Rihan leaves alone for the wedding, Zafer hides in his mother's wardrobe, clinging to her clothes and calling out for her, locking himself inside in despair. Meanwhile, Timur heads to the spare parts shop to purchase what is needed for the bus repair. During dinner, Zulfikar becomes troubled when he hears that Captain Yahya is planning to return and even open a new transport business at the bus station. On his way back, Timur spots men attempting to kidnap Rihan from her car. He intervenes, rescues her, and flees in his own vehicle while the assailants give chase. Terrified, Rihan follows Timur's instructions to scatter nails on the road, disabling the attacker's car. After escaping, they introduce themselves properly. At first, Rihan thinks Timur is joking when he says he is a mechanic, but she soon realizes he is serious. She is clearly impressed by him and discreetly hides her wedding ring. Timur later calls Zulfikar, who arrives and thanks him for saving Rihan's life. Offering any sum of money as a reward, Zulfikar is surprised when Timur refuses, asking only for assistance in fixing his car. This further strengthens Zulfikar's conviction that Timur is no ordinary man. Timur manages to repair his own car with some assistance, and they succeed in getting it to start. Meanwhile, Zulfikar meets with Wazir, instructing him to uncover who had attempted to kidnap his son's wife. Wazir reassures him that he is very close to presenting him with the crown prince. However, Zulfikar replies firmly that he has already found his heir. In the following scene, Timur visits his former fiancée to return her belongings. We learn that she abandoned him because he devoted all his earnings to supporting his mother and sister, while also repaying the debts left by his father, who had squandered everything in gambling and even mortgaged their house. The next day, Ibram comes to Timur's home, discovering that he has purchased a new car. Ibram demands that Timur settle the remaining debts of his father or risk being handed over to the police. Later, we see Zulfikar at the station, meeting a young man highly skilled in mathematics and independent in his work. Zulfikar explains the nature of his business. He rents buses from their owners, assumes responsibility for them, and secretly uses them to transport smuggled goods. Payment from the goods owners is only made upon delivery. Although Zulfikar is very wealthy, he faces constant criticism for his frequent absences due to his son's illness. Soon after, Heir arrives at the station, greeted coldly by Wazir. The two clearly harbor resentment toward one another. Meanwhile, Zafer is found by his sister Kudra watching James Bond cartoons. She attempts to calm him, while later in the garden Zafer approaches his wife Rihan, apologizing and promising that this evening will be different from all others in their marital life. Yet it is evident that Rihan is weary and frustrated with him. Back at the station, Heir recalls memories of his late father Muharrem, once Zulfikar's business partner. As a child, Heir played with Zafer and Daria. When Zulfikar arrives, he extends his hand for Heir to kiss in greeting. Hesitant at first, Heir eventually complies. Zulfikar offers him help, but Heir declines politely, only asking about Zafer. Zulfikar assures him he will meet his son very soon. Later, Wazir thanks Timur, who promises to repair Zulfikar's bus soon. In another scene, Heir harshly rebukes Salim, his subordinate, for failing to abduct Rihan, revealing that Heir himself had orchestrated the kidnapping attempt. Holding an old photograph of himself with his father, Zulfikar, and Zafer, Heir tears it apart, vowing vengeance against his uncle and cousin. We then see Zulfikar confronting Tharwat, the spare parts dealer, who had raised prices for bus owners without approval. In retaliation, Zulfikar doubles Tharwat's commission from 10% to 20%. Soon after, Wazir brings Zulfikar detailed information about Timur. He is the sole supporter of his family, continues to pay off his father's debts after the latter fled, and had even been imprisoned for assaulting a creditor who tried to assault his sister Yashim. Deeply impressed, Zulfikar describes Timur as a noble and courageous young man. Yet, as he drinks, his mind drifts back to the fragile state of his son Zafer. At the estate, Kudra instructs the servants to remain silent because Zafer dislikes noise. She gives him herbal medicine. That night, as Rihan waits in her room, Zafer hesitates to approach her. Frustrated, she withdraws emotionally. At that moment, Zafer hears loud voices, storms out angrily, only to be startled by his father Zulfikar returning home. The next day, Timur lovingly cuts Yashim's hair, joking that he is more skilled than any hairdresser. She confides that once she has enough money, she will buy a new laptop and visit a salon. Though she dreams of studying medicine, she later breaks down in tears, asking how they will afford tuition. Timur consoles her, reminding her that he sacrificed his own education because of his father's debts, but promises to support her dreams. Shortly afterward, Timur arrives with a gift for his sister, only to discover the broken washing machine. He rushes upstairs in alarm to check on his mother and sister, who explain that Ibrahim was responsible. Later that night, Yahya is with Ragab, confessing that he deeply misses the city he left 20 years ago. A flashback reveals a scene where his father, Muharrem, kisses him while he sleeps on a bus. Yahya awakens to the sound of his father's cries, only to discover men intending to kill Muharrem. No one had realized that Yahya was on the bus. Both Zulfikar and Muharrem plead for mercy, but Zulfikar accuses Muharrem of treachery and insists that he must die. Muharrem is executed, leaving Zulfikar in sorrow despite having ordered his death. Timur confronts Ibrahim at his workplace, beats him, and warns him never to approach his home or family again before leaving him behind. Soon after, 3 of Zulfikar's buses are set on fire. Zulfikar suspects Yahya is behind the arson, but Wazir dismisses this, saying it is too soon for Yahya to act so boldly. Zulfikar nevertheless orders him to summon all the bus owners. In the meantime, the bus owners meet with Daria, demanding to terminate their contracts and withdraw their vehicles. Daria refuses, reminding them of the contract clause that prohibits withdrawal before 2 years, of which 6 months still remain. She speaks to them harshly, causing further tension. Later, Zulfikar gathers the merchants, who express their support but embarrass him by asking why his son Zafar is absent and when he will return. Yahya seizes the moment, reassuring the merchants that, in Zafar's absence, he will stand by his uncle and ensure their interests are safeguarded. Zulfikar feels humiliated by Yahya's words but refrains from reacting in front of the merchants. At the mansion, Hilm is heard singing and cooking when Qudrat confronts her, reminding her of the great trouble caused by the burned buses. Hilm dismisses the concern, saying her only duty is to care for Zulfikar's son and nothing more. Meanwhile, Zulfikar calls Taimur to meet him at night to settle the bus repair bill. Taimur is delighted, especially when Zafar drives his own bus again for the first time and expresses joy, telling Wazir this bus marked the beginning of his career. But at night, Taimur is surprised when Zulfikar does not appear in person, instead sending his driver with a large sum of money. Overjoyed, Taimur tells Yusef that he can finally cover his sister's tuition fees and buy her the laptop she has always dreamed of. The following day, Taimur indeed purchases the laptop for Yashim and plans to surprise her that evening. Elsewhere, Zulfikar and Zafar meet, with Zafar promising that soon he will give his father a grandchild. He kisses Zulfikar's hand, asking for forgiveness. At that moment, Daria enters, and Zulfikar scolds her upon learning of her harsh treatment of the bus owners, ordering her to deal with the merchants more respectfully. Later, Yahya hosts a dinner gathering, assuring the attendees that he will protect and support them, promising no harm will come to them, and that his company will be open to anyone seeking work. Suddenly, a man falls dead from an upper floor, shot. Shocked, Yahya realizes this is a scheme orchestrated by Zulfikar and Wazir to undermine his credibility among the workers. Meanwhile, Taimur helps Uncle Sam, who then deceives him by sending him to collect supplies, only for Taimur to fall into a trap set by Ibrahim. Taimur is kidnapped and taken to an isolated place where he is meant to be killed and buried. They steal his newly purchased laptop and throw him into a pit. Resigned, Taimur begs them to end his suffering quickly. But instead, one of the men turns on Ibrahim and his partner, killing them. Stunned, Taimur realizes he has survived. At that moment, Zafar and Wazir arrive, and Zulfikar greets Taimur with the words, "Welcome, Crown Prince."